Good evening, everyone. What a gorgeous evening in Westfield. Hopefully the council will get us out of here with enough time to enjoy what little is left of the evening. If I could get everybody to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a prayer by Pastor Rob of the On-Site International.
Let's pray. Our Father God, we worship and bless you tonight as we prepare to start this council meeting in this late June evening. Father, I ask that the words of our mouths and the meditations of our hearts be pleasing to you, and if they're not there quite yet, that you would help them to get into that place very quickly. Please provide godly wisdom and discernment to our leaders and presenters this evening as they present and as they listen and make decisions and questions. Also, Holy Spirit, I ask that you would allow each person here and online to hear exactly what you'd have them hear, even if it's different than what is being physically spoken. We desire your best, and we ask that you would help truth to be spoken in love, and the truth also to be received with grace and understanding. Father, I ask that you would transform this city into a city of prayer, people who are dependent on you for every decision and direction made, and aligning with your heart to see your desires for this city and its people fulfilled in our days. Thank you for your favor and generosity to us historically and also in this time. Now, as we look to you for what's ahead, please do immeasurably more than all we've asked for or imagined. We bless and worship you tonight in Jesus' name. Amen.
President Tam, would you like to run the meeting, please?
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you for the challenge as well on your quick opening. If we can we quickly note the presence of quorum?
John Dart?
Here.
Joe Dettner?
Here.
Noah Herron?
Here.
Chad Huff?
Here.
Victor McCarty?
Here.
Patrick Tam?
Here.
And Kurt Woniger?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. We don't have any changes to the agenda this evening. I anticipate everyone has had a chance to take a look at the minutes from our June 10th, 2024 meeting. When doing so, may we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve meetings from the June 10th meeting.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilor McCarty, seconded by Councilor Huff. Any discussion? Seeing none, may we call the roll?
Kurt Woniger?
Yes.
John Dart?
Yes.
Joe Dettner?
Yes.
Patrick Tam?
Yes.
Victor McCarty?
Yes.
Noah Herron?
Yes.
Chad Huff?
Yes.
Motion approved and seconded and passes.
Thank you.
7-0, sorry.
Oh, you're fine. Thank you. We also have the claim docket for June 24th, 2024. I know folks have reviewed this. May we have a motion and a second?
Make a motion to approve the claims docket for June 24th, 2024. Second.
We have a motion made by Councilor Woniger, a second by Councilor Huff. Any discussion? Seeing none, may we call the roll?
Chad Huff?
Yes.
Kurt Woniger?
Yes.
John Dart?
Yes.
Joe Dettner?
Yes.
Patrick Tam?
Yes.
Victor McCarty?
Yes.
Noah Herron?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. Do we have any residents that wish to address the council this evening? Director Todd? Okay, thank you. On old business this evening, we have Ordinance 24-34, which is the Common Council of the City of Westfield, Indiana, establishing a designated outdoor refreshment area pursuant to Indiana Code. This is a second reading this evening. We had Kayla Arnold present this at our first reading. She's here this evening for any questions or conversation from council. Do we have any questions, or we can also move to a motion and then a second as well?
I have a few questions, clarification, if I could address them, Kayla.
Sure.
Obviously, the idea is to encourage families and/or couples to come to Grand Junction Park. And today, I understand, or I feel like when people come to see a concert, they're bringing their own coolers, right? Could be soft drinks, could be water, could be beer, could be hard alcohol. What will be the policy if DORA goes into effect for somebody that's coming into a concert and bringing a cooler in?
The way that the law is written is that coolers are not to be brought in to a DORA district. So we would have, whether it's somebody from PD or somebody from whoever is managing the event, whether it's Westfield Welcome or Parks, someone from the city would be managing that. And I think we would mostly rely on either Westfield Police Department or excise to enforce that.
When you say coolers, you mean alcohol's permitted, but
Yes.
coolers can still come, right?
Yes,
Okay.
soft drinks, water, that kind of thing.
But, yeah, is somebody going to be there, like you're going to a sporting event, they're opening up coolers to check whether you've got alcohol or soft drinks? That sounds like additional headcount or hours for the city or somebody within the police department to manage that. So is that the intent? Because I think we want to encourage people to come to the park. We want to encourage people to come to see a concert. I feel like this DORA initiative is discouraging people from coming in to do what they've done in the past, and that is to enjoy themselves, maybe have a beer, and head home. I don't think there's really been any trouble at the park, no drinking issues. So my concern is that we may be driving people away with this DORA idea, because if you go to Cool Creek Park, which I understand from you is a Hamilton County park, it's not a Westfield
Correct.
managed park, for as long as all of us can remember, we've been bringing in coolers and drinking beer and/or other drinks and no issues. So how are people going to not adjust to it, but justify that I can do it over here, 2 miles away, but I can't do it here?
Twofold. The other cities that I've spoke with that have DORAs in place have talked about what an economic driver it is in terms of being able to have additional vendors at events so that people can purchase alcohol. That way it's actually better moderated rather than people bringing in their own coolers. When it comes to Cool Creek, it's very different. They have a standard set of rules. If you read the rules at Cool Creek, alcohol is not permitted in the park, but it's not enforced during concert season per se. Yeah. So that isn't something I can necessarily speak to because, again, that's a Hamilton County park run by Hamilton County Parks and Recreation. So we can't speak to how they manage or how they handle that.
So just to be clear, the county park, it's unlawful to take alcohol into the county park.
According to their rules and regulated ordinances.
But for whatever reason, during concert season and other events, no one seems to have any issues.
And I'll just add, if it's a city-sponsored event, we already have it staffed, right? I mean,
Correct.
if we're putting on a movie or a concert or a venue of some sort, we have city folks there. Yeah. If it's just, hey, it's a Friday night and I'm rolling out a blanket and I want to drink some wine and have some Urban Vines wine and some cheese, and you want to do that in the park grounds, if they become a problem, I'm sure police would step in. We're not out there witch hunting for people bringing stuff in on a cooler. We want people to respect the DORA district. We certainly don't want to lose our ability to have that by allowing people to flagrantly disregard the rules. But we're not going to be out there. I'm not going to put extra police officers in the park hoping we catch somebody drinking something they shouldn't.
So coolers will still be allowed, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
But non-alcoholic.
Well, it's currently like that anyways. Yeah. It's how administration decides to police it or not, basically.
So currently, right now, because of an amendment in 2021, is that right, Victor? Alcohol is permitted in Grand Junction Plaza. So the DORA expands that and kind of negates that rule.
It's
So-
permitted if the city gets with excise and has an event. It's not just permitted to walk in there with beer currently, right?
Anytime, yes.
Any,
If
if it's
it
a
is
sponsored
permitted.
event from the city and the city has permit, no?
Anytime,
Yeah.
currently.
It was Westfield Ordinance 2137 that amended the rules, so that park, AKA the plaza, being the only park in the city that could permit alcohol at any point in time.
So you could take a cooler of beer and be fine. So with this, you can't do
Is it-
that any longer.
In 2021, DORA as a whole did not exist. So we were, I guess, ahead of the game per se in terms of allowing that because we knew that there would be concerts and activity down in the plaza.
To be honest with you, most of the complaints that I've received, I know what you guys have seen from your end, but it's been more concern about having alcohol in general in downtown. Most people don't realize it's been permitted down there for a long time. To address those issues, I would simply say, allowing people to come in with a case of beer and a cooler, you're probably inviting more issues than somebody has to go purchase alcohol at a restaurant where they have to get up off the ground and walk, a block or 100 yards to get to an establishment and buy something. So, most of the concerns we're getting from the public is excess drinking, and this certainly, I think, would make it a little more difficult to reach those levels of being out of control than if you have to go and actually purchase it, so.
A couple more clarification questions. So if I'm at let's just say, at a Park Street restaurant, and I'm gonna walk outside, I'm gonna need to have it put in a cup, right?
Correct.
To walk outside. So I purchased it inside, I'm gonna walk outside. Can I walk into another business on Park Street with that cup, even though I didn't purchase it there?
You can walk into a business that doesn't have a liquor license because liquor licenses cannot overlap. So if you would go from Chiba to Italian House, no, you would have to finish your beverage before you went into Italian House. But say you were going to Becky the Baker to pick up, pies, you could go from Chiba to Becky the Baker if she allowed Dora beverages to be in there, which is why in the presentation we have the not permitted, sold here, and welcome signs. So a business that doesn't have a liquor license could opt to not want Dora beverages in their establishment. They would put a not permitted sticker.
I think where the confusion might come in, or at least education is required, is going from one restaurant
Correct.
or bar to another restaurant or bar, and you're going, wait a minute, I just put this in a Dora cup, and both of these are Dora approved vendors, if you will, or customers. Why can't I take it into their business?
Sure. So we plan on doing, if this is passed, we plan on doing some education on social media and the website in regards to the do's and don'ts of Dora per se. So there will be additional signage, especially when we establish a date for it to go into effect if it's passed. We'll have signage, temporary signage out in different areas in the Dora district that will have a QR code, that will have some general rules, that will point you back to the website that has all of those rules. And we'll also do a couple of videos on social media helping promote the do's and don'ts. So I've reached out to several other cities that have this in place to get kind of their best practices of how they've implemented. So we'll plan on doing some of those.
Okay. And I'm not encouraging this next behavior, but somebody could make a purchase from an approved vendor in a Dora cup and take it home with them and bring it back the next time they go to a concert and just, I guess, pour their own beverages into a Dora cup and never actually have to purchase it from a vendor, right? That's possible?
It certainly couldn't be out of the realm of possibility, but it's going to be a plastic cup, so it's not a reusable plastic cup, so I can't imagine it would last very long.
Speaking as somebody that's tried to do that at Grand Park, maybe, it gets pretty hard with the Pepsi cups, just FYI. Hopefully no one from Grand Park is listening, but yes.
I'm sure they are.
I will tell you, though, that your questions are great, Counselor. So if you Google Cincinnati Dora, if you Google Holland, Michigan Dora, you'll see multiple states, but the rules, frankly, that someone may use in Cincinnati are almost to the T, almost written exactly the same in those states. So if you're coming here from Cincinnati, you'll suddenly realize, oh, this is how this works. So those laws and so forth from a consumer, but you obviously do have to educate people here. Your other piece, though, too, which hasn't been touched on, is there's a designated area for potential vendors at the Grand Junction Plaza. So if you were to do that today, the amount of paperwork and process to do those types of events is pretty intense. With Adora, you can actually routinely bring in vendors, other participants, wineries, distilleries, and so forth. Realize we do have a distiller as well as a brewer in this district. They've been longtime businesses at this point in Westfield. So you could bring their permit premises outside into that Grand Junction area, the plaza area as well, where people could enjoy and make that a little bit easier. At the same time, though, bad behavior, criminal behavior is still criminal behavior.
Correct.
So if someone misuses alcohol, it's still criminal behavior. And that's where police, law enforcement would obviously step in. So we do have a lot of alcoholic beverage permits currently in existence and operation in what we call the Grand Junction area. There's more. There will be a considerable number that will continue to locate and grow. We've already approved several just this year. But you also on that Grand Junction Plaza area allow that to be activated for unique events, much more easy for the residents to enjoy as well.
And I know the answer to this, but just so the public's aware, and I don't think this is going to happen, but to the extent that there's all kinds of problems, this can be revoked by another vote at any point in
Correct.
time, correct?
Yes.
And Kayla, I think this is what Councilor Tam was referring to, is if with special events, there's food vendors, other vendors that come into Grand Park, that would still be permitted. And then also, what's the process for a food truck or a beverage truck to get that approval? What permit do they need from the city? What do they need from ATF? And what else, or how long would that process be as well?
Sure. So right now, food trucks and any alcoholic, any beer trucks or anything like that will fill out an application with Westfield Welcome. If that process could have changed since I'm no longer overseeing that department, but they fill out an application and then, if they're approved, they're approved. If they're denied, they're denied. But then they have to provide a certificate of insurance and then traditionally pay a vendor fee as well. So with the any alcoholic retailers that will be there, they have to provide a copy of their permit and then also a copy of the temporary or festival permit that they would get from the ATC.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments, discussion? So the motion's in front of, the ordinance is in front of us this evening. We need a motion and a second if we're so inclined.
Motion to approve ordinance 24-34.
Second.
We have a motion made by Councilor Huff, seconded by Councilor McCarty. Any further conversation? Seeing none, may we call the roll?
Noah Herron,
Yes.
Chad Huff,
Yes.
Victor McCarty,
Yes.
Patrick Tam,
Yes.
Kurt Woniger,
Yes.
John Dart,
Yes. Yes.
Joe Deppner.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Arnold. This evening, moving on to new business, we have Resolution 24-124, which is the Common Council regarding certain tax abatement deductions for Farnham, North Point One LLC, and Williams Enterprises LLC. This evening, we're joined by Ms. Fairman for a presentation.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. The first item that I have here for you tonight is a 10-year graduated abatement for Farnham. This is Farnham NP1 and William Enterprises LLC. It's a 10-year graduated abatement, starting with a 100-year abatement and graduating down by year 10 to 10%. This is a 10-year real property abatement for a spec building. It's a shell, 159,850 square feet on about 12.9 acres in North Point. The address is 20,221 Grassy Branch, and this is the proposed site plan here. This particular plan will be introduced on August 2nd for rezone, and I understand that this is going to be a holistic rezone of North Point architectural standards, which hopefully Kevin could speak a little bit more on if you had any questions. But this is a character exhibit of the building, and value of the abatement is approximately $1.1 million for a total investment by the developer of $14.9 million. I'm happy to answer any questions.
What is that ground currently zoned?
The ground is currently zoned for industrial as part of the North Point PUD. The modifications would be to the architectural standards, and again, it would be holistically for the architecture of North Point.
All right, so I've got a few comments. As I've stated in the past, I am a supporter of tax abatements. I think it's a great tool for the city to be able to use to attract businesses. But I'm still scratching my head on an abatement for a shell building. We approved a shell building, or I think two 11,000 square foot shells in January or February, whenever it was. And we were, I thought, communicated to at that time that, hey, this was a promise or a commitment that was made prior to the new administration coming in, and we were going to honor that. We said we would consider abatements for businesses coming into Westfield if it was light manufacturing, if it was in the health and medical device, maybe high tech, right? Those were the type of businesses that we wanted to attract to Westfield, and I think we still do. At this point, we have no idea who would be coming into this building. In fact, my guess is we have no idea who's coming into the two 11,000 square foot shells that we approved back in January. They're probably still working on, obviously, constructing and encouraging businesses to come. So I'm a bigger fan of, first of all, being creative with abatements. I don't understand why we can't consider a 1, 2, or 3 year abatement. Let's just say it's a 1, 2, or 3 year abatement at 100% for a shell. And then when we know who the businesses that are going to come in, we say, oh, there's a business that we want. We got to have this business. Then we go back and put an aggressive abatement plan in to attract a business in here. Because my guess is once we approve this, if we approve this, we have no say in who the developer puts in the building. And we're going to be giving a 10-year abatement to maybe a cigarette distributor or a toy company, who knows, right? It's not who we said we wanted to bring into the city and give abatements to. So I'm a bigger fan of saying short-term abatement to get them off the ground, to get this building constructed, and then let's go with the 5 or 10 year abatements for the businesses that we want to attract to the city. So I don't know how you want to respond to that, but it just doesn't seem like we're using any creativity in our approach to the shell businesses. Not shell businesses, shell buildings.
Thank you for the clarification.
Yeah.
Well, I will say that over the last few months, I have been doing a lot of research, talking with other municipalities on their abatements, and I really did not have a whole lot of experience with this in my past in Carmel, as we had talked about previously. And based on the opportunities that I've had to talk with other groups and our participation in Indy Partnership, which has been really beneficial for us to understand what is happening in the rest of the market, the 10-year graduated abatement is really the industry standard. And for us to be able to attract development here in Westfield, I think that we're going to have to do this on shell buildings. I'm not saying this is ideal, I'm just saying that this seems to be the standard that's in place around central Indiana, and if we want to be competitive and we want to encourage development here from a commercial perspective, we're going to have to meet what's happening within the market.
Yeah, and I would say, I think we're underestimating our value to a developer and to a business to come to Westfield. And what I mean by that is I think we've got more to offer in Westfield than other Hamilton County or Boone County cities. And I think we have gotten into the mode of saying, well, this is the industry norm, this is what's expected, we're gonna lose this business if we don't do this because Noblesville will pick them up or whatever. I'm not sure how many 12-acre parcels are available in Noblesville or other cities, but I know that they don't have the safety record that we have. I know that they don't have the schools that we have. I know that they don't have the residential communities that we have. And I think we're underestimating the draw of businesses to Westfield. And
So if I could just add in here real quick, a couple things. First off, yes, you've asked that question repeatedly.
Yep.
And I've answered it repeatedly the same way. We're going to do what puts Westfield in the best position to attract businesses. We've talked about this ad nauseum. 90% of our tax revenue comes from the residential side. It is absolutely imperative that we are competitive and that we're snagging these businesses as quickly as we can, the right kinds of businesses for Westfield. The PUD was developed that controls the type of users. So some of those examples you threw out there absolutely can't happen here. When the PUD was set up, it identifies the type of users that can come in here. It aligns with the city's values, the city's goals, and so I totally disagree with that statement. In terms of us just, half willingly saying, let's just throw it out there because this is what everybody else is doing. We're in a competitive bid situation right now with the company that I know you know who they are because you've been involved in trying to attract this business. We are number 3 of 3 bidders in terms of the total financial package that's being offered. We are the lowest. And we think we've got a good chance of possibly winning that. We look at each one individually and we evaluate it accordingly. We believe in this scenario, when you look at people who are looking for pre-built space and they need it right away, if we're competing with Fishers and Noblesville, without the abatement, we will lose. And historically, that's what's happened. So you don't have to like it. I totally get it. But that's what we're offering up because we feel this puts us in the most competitive place. So, again, don't have to agree with it, but that's just where we're at.
Any other conversation this evening? Councilor Dart?
no other questions from me.
This is a resolution this evening, which means it's eligible for a motion and for potential consideration. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve Resolution 24-124.
Second.
We have a motion made by Councilor McCarty, seconded by Councilor Deppner. Any further conversation? Seeing none, may we call the roll?
Patrick Tam,
Yes.
John Dart,
No.
Joe Debner,
Yes.
Chad Huff,
Yes.
Noah Herron,
Yes.
Victor McCarty,
Yes.
Kurt Woniger.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-1.
Moving on this evening, ordinance 24-38, which is a common council authorizing and approving an additional appropriation from the operating balance of the general fund and authorizing and approving a transfer of funds. Ms. Fairman will continue her appearance this evening. I think you're here all night for us, but we also, this is an ordinance. This is a first reading this evening. Ms. Fairman?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. If you don't mind, I am going to show a slideshow here to just explain what it is that we kind of have in mind with these appropriations. I think it'll be helpful in having the conversation about both of these action items coming up. And where is my presentation? I'm totally missing it. Their slide. Oh, there we go. I was like, where is it? All right. Thank you. Thanks. Okay. This is an excerpt from the MKSK plan for Downtown Westfield Association prepared in 2023. I wanted to highlight a couple of things that we are working on in the downtown area specific to what's called out here as Area 1, 2, and 3. This is the location of actually right in this area here is what we are calling Jersey Street. And we are working on a development agreement on that block right now. The quaint core here, this is Park Street on the south end of this block. The north end is Jersey Street. Becky the Bakester is just newly opened here on Jersey Street. And of course, we have the Park Street restaurants that are southern, Chiba and Greeks and Italian House and such. And we are aiming to preserve the character that we have on this central block, and then also provide the development here along Jersey Street and additional development here along Park Street. As we all know, there is a lack of parking in the downtown, and we are focused in the Redevelopment Commission on developing more parking. On a short-term standpoint, we are working on the acquisition, demolition, and grading for some parking, temporary parking that will be located in a couple of surface lots along Park Street in the Midland Trace Trail. And then we'll be working a little bit longer timeline on some parking garages located in that north block here along Jersey Street and then also south of the Midland Trace Trail. We do have a Park Street patio and improvements to the streetscape along Park Street that we have planned here in upcoming days. And then we also have, oh, I seem to have missed, can you go back one slide? Oh, maybe I've missed the other one. Park Street, which is in this area, I seem to have missed my oh, here it is, public parking. The Park and Poplar project, which you may or may not have seen, hit the IBJ this week. We just received ready funding for, and this will include the development of a mixed-use office and multifamily development with a parking garage, a hotel on the north side of the Midland Trace Trail, and then we're expanding the reach of this project, including that streetscape improvement along Park Street and a plaza to be located on the east side of the hotel. So this is a glimpse of what the Park and Poplar project may look like. We're still working with the developer on the development agreement, so I don't have a final rendering, but I hope to have that in the coming months. This is, again, an excerpt from the MKSK study that shows a rendering of the hotel and Park Street on that center inset view, and then the one to the left is a bird's eye view of the multifamily with garage, office, and then hotel is right here across the Midland Trace Trail. The estimated investment for this project is $162.5 million, including the streetscape and plaza, with an estimated assessed value of about $62 million. Most of that obviously not focused on the public portion being the street and plaza. This comes out to an average of about $7.75 million per acre. We're looking at about a 560 space parking garage, including an additional 90 spaces above and beyond what the development needs, which will help support small businesses in Grand Junction. It will have up to 60,000 square feet of office and commercial, 10,000 square feet of retail, a 90-key boutique hotel, and approximately 250 family units. These are the parcels that we will be purchasing. Here's the bird's eye view. This is Westfield Boulevard here, turns into Poplar Street north of Park. And our first closing is scheduled for this summer. We would be purchasing these, actually it's these two parcels right here. Here's an enlarged view. This is where we would be building our temporary surface parking. That closing also includes this parcel here along Westfield Boulevard, which enables us to start some of our early grading and site work. The second closing for this project would include some additional parcels here to the south of the Midland Trace Trail, which would occur after My Logo Shop and Esslers have relocated. And this is approximately what the site plan would look like with a 90 key hotel here on the north side of the Midland Trace Trail and the multifamily office and garage here to the south. Additionally, we're looking at a Jersey Street project to the north of Jersey Street, south of US State Road 32, between Mill and Poplar. And this would be an approximate $100 million investment and an estimated assessed value of $44.7 million. This comes out to about $12.5 million per acre assessed value. We're looking at a 525 space parking garage, which is oversized by about 100 spaces to support the small businesses in Grand Junction, 36,000 square foot office and commercial space, over 50,000 square feet of retail and restaurant, and 172 multifamily units. This also includes a large park plaza area that would be located here along State Road 32, and then a plaza here that we're still working on the design of, which we're hoping to have a nice art installation as well as some parking for golf carts. So I just wanted to give you some background on what it is that we have planned for downtown. We are asking for 2 appropriations, 1 grant and 1 appropriation that will follow up with a grant later. And this is to ultimately put money in the hands of our CDC. You will see we have an appropriation here that we're requesting for $12.9 million. That will be followed up with a grant request from the RDC once all of the money is appropriated to grant money to the CDC. That grant would be, it would have certain restrictions that would allow the CDC only to invest in these properties. And we also have a second grant here, which is directly from the City Council to the CDC because there's some money in the City Council funds already. So I'll go through them one at a time, but just wanted to be sure we were talking about this holistically. So this first item is Ordinance 24-38, and this is specifically requesting the appropriation, thank you, the appropriation of $12.9 million from Fund, this is appropriating to Fund 651. Make sure I've got the right one up here, yes. This is to Fund 651, which is the Infrastructure Improvement Fund, and this would be introduced today, and then we would be hoping for your adoption of this at the next meeting. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you have about this appropriation request.
Thank you. Any questions about this appropriation request this evening? This is an appropriation. It's a first reading. We do need to open it up for a proper public hearing this evening as well. Seeing no other questions, we'll open up for a public.
Patrick, go ahead. And so I know this isn't on the table today, but the 2 developments there, I'm pretty sure the council all feels the same way as I do, but we saw 100 extra spaces on one and 90 extra spaces in parking. I know that's not what we're dealing with right this second, but
Yes.
just keep in mind that as many parking spots as we can pack in there, we're all going to be looking for that, so.
Yes, I understand. And just to share with you what my strategy is on the numbers that we're adding to each project, the most efficient way to add additional spaces is to add 1 entire floor. You have the developer come up with their most efficient layout that they need for their development. If we're able to incentivize an additional floor to provide public parking, it keeps the layout the same, helps them be very efficient with the operations of that garage. So that's kind of why the numbers vary from project to project.
Thank you.
What about 2 floors?
We can certainly discuss it. We don't have to decide today.
A couple other things to keep in mind too is the Old Town development that's under construction now also has available parking. And there'll be more parking garages coming online as we develop the downtown area. The other thing to keep in mind is if we add 2 levels, that's putting more density into an area. We're trying to be careful to build density because we need it. We don't want to over-densify it. I don't know if densify is a word. It sounds great. Over-densify it in a way that we create other problems. So there's a fine balance, and Janelle's worked tirelessly. I mean, Jersey Street, we've probably gone through 10 iterations to get to where we're at. It's a balance.
8.
8. Okay, I was off too. I purely guessed. But I've seen it pop up all the time on my agenda, and I know it's been back and forth for a while. But
And well, I think most of us all ran on platforms of attracting businesses and bring business to our communities. And you mentioned My Logo Shop and Essler's as well. Is the city helping to find them places within our communities and stay within our communities?
They are being relocated within the community, yes.
Okay.
Essler's has already been approved out by me. So.
also, one thing I wanted to add, because I'm super excited about it. So the Park Plaza that Janelle was talking about there at the very corner of Westfield Boulevard and State Road 32, we're putting together a commission to explore honoring the Underground Railroad in Westfield, because I don't believe we've done that in a physical way other than through various initiatives, and we used to have a 5K and things like that. So we're looking at something significant in that park because it kind of ran through that area. And in fact, there's a homeowner in here that lives on Jersey Street that has the Underground Railroad run through her house. So we're going to look at that and try to do something really nice to memorialize that.
So if we can, let's go ahead and open up the public hearing at 7:40 this evening. So if you wish to address the council in a public hearing, you can come forward and speak at any time. Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing at 7:41. This was a first reading, so we'll move on to Resolution 24-125, which is granting funds to the Downtown Westfield Community Development Corporation for Infrastructure Improvement Fund. Janelle?
Thank you very much, Mr. President. This is Resolution 24-125, and this is a request for a grant from City Council to the Downtown Westfield Community Development Corporation. Normally, we would make grants directly from the Redevelopment Commission to the CDC so that the Redevelopment Commission was reviewing all of the terms of the grant and administering all of the details of that. However, we have a unique situation here because there were 4 transfers from TIF allocation areas. These came from funds number 301, 305, 309, and 316 to the general fund in 2023, and we're wanting to request those funds. It is $5,843,002. We would like to grant those funds to the CDC. However, it is a lot more efficient for those funds to be granted directly from the City Council, from the general fund to the CDC, because of the complexity of them coming from the 4 separate TIF areas. If we were to grant the money from the CDC over to the RDC, we would probably have to engage a lot more legal support to figure out where all of that money goes, whether it goes into the TIF funds or it goes into the new CDC capital fund, just to make sure that we are meeting all the statutes. And because we do have this option to do a grant directly from the CDC, is just more efficient. And so we are asking today for you to provide this grant for us. So this is slightly complicated in process only because it includes 2 steps. One is approval of the resolution, and then the second is that there is an attached grant agreement attached to it, which is Exhibit A, which defines all of the restrictions on the investment by the Community Development Corporation. That's the Downtown Westfield Community Development Corporation, and it does allow the CDC to invest in capital improvements in the downtown area, including land purchase and construction and other activities. And I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions on this resolution this evening? Seeing none, this is a resolution this evening. It is eligible for consideration for a motion and a second and a potential vote if we were so inclined. Seeing no other questions, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 24-125.
Second.
Motion made by Councilor Waniger, seconded by Councilor Herron. Any further discussion? Seeing none, may we call the roll?
Kurt Woniger,
Yes.
Patrick Tam,
Yes.
Victor McCarty,
Yes.
Chad Huff,
Yes.
Noah Herron,
Yes.
Joe Debner,
Yes.
John Dar.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. First time user, have to turn on a microphone. Any city council comments this evening?
Today, we held the Finance Committee meeting and went over the appropriation dockets and things like that. Also got an update on the city budget, which is still on track and online, with the department heads submitting their first round of budgets, which is under review by Danielle. That will then go, from my understanding, to the mayor for review, and then probably we'll start to get more engaged with that. So if there's any questions regarding the Finance Committee today, just ask myself or Patrick Tam were in attendance, and also the information that was provided is all online as well.
Thank you. Anything from the APC?
Thank you. So real briefly, on our consent agenda, we had Bub's Burgers. That's going to be at the anchor of Mill Street and Park Street. And then Legato Living on Union Street is going to be a boutique memory care home for residents with Alzheimer's disease. And over by Meyer, Sonic, that area, Aldi will be building their second location. And then our only workshop item was regarding the Osborne Trails PUD Amendment 6, which is currently still under discussion and consideration regarding West Fork and what all they're looking to do there.
Thank you. Anyone else? Real quick, while our city attorney is on a well-deserved family vacation, thank you, Kayla, for filling in as well. But Caitlin is clearly watching us as she's texting me throughout the entire meeting. But so I don't know how our vacation's going, but it's going well for us. So, but thank you. Mayor, do you have any comments?
Just one real quick. We discussed this last week, or I sent you all a text informing you of this moment that's getting ready to happen, but there'll be a press release going out, if not tonight, first thing tomorrow, about the city basically, I don't want to use the word fight, but we're going to seek a rebuttal to Duke's increase in costs for utilities. And I believe we're the only municipality in the state of Indiana that's going to make a run at this. So it's the right fight. It's the right fight for our residents. Don't know if we'll win. I guess we're going to find out here shortly, but the process will start picking up steam pretty fast. But I think there's a total of 11 rebuttals, but we're the only municipality after that. So I just wanted to let you know we've discussed it. Certainly, if you have other questions, fire at me, but otherwise you'll see that press release hitting tomorrow.
Thank you, Mayor. With that, may I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you. We're adjourned.